You are listening to the Haig MD channel. Nothing on this channel is medical advice. It is for information purposes only, and before you make any changes, or if you need advice, call your own doctor. Hi everybody, welcome to episode 1 of the Haig MD channel. My name is Dr. Melissa Haig and I am a practicing obstetrician gynecologist. Every episode we are going to start with a sexual health hint. Today's hint, coconut oil. I'm telling you, young, old, using it, not using it, it's amazing. Moisturizer, lubricant, just make sure you look at the ingredients on the back and it's pure organic coconut oil with no additives. It's good stuff. Room temperature, it's a solid. You can just take a piece off and put it where you need it, or warm it up, use it in the shower right after you're done. That's your first sexual health hint. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So I am a practicing OBGYN. I deliver over 300 babies a year. I do a lot of complex gynecologic surgery, and I see women of all ages. My youngest patient is still in the uterus. My oldest patient is in her 90s. So seeing that full spectrum of care, I get to take care of young, scared moms and women in their 70s who give me tips on hair and nails and skin. And some of these episodes, I'm going to bring you their tips because you can read all kinds of things, but man, when you see a woman in her 80s with amazing skin and she tells you her secret, you want to roll with it. So this episode, everyone is always asking me, like, what's a normal day like for an OBGYN? And I don't have a normal day, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about today because I think it's going to give you an eye into how this whole podcast channel is going to go. So today I saw several women who came in with concerns about their hormones. That is the big thing online, right? If you're 19 and you skip a period, you must be postmenopausal. No, that's not how it works. But when you come into my office and you want to talk about hormones, we'll talk about hormones, but the first thing I always ask women is, what is your nutrition like? Because if your nutrition is terrible, your hormones aren't going to be balanced. You aren't going to feel normal. And the first thing we want to know is, how many times a day are you eating? And when I mean how many times a day are you eating, I mean like every time you put a calorie in your mouth. So that sugary coffee drink you're having, the cup of popcorn you have right after dinner, for the movie, then maybe another piece of chocolate, like all of that counts. When I first started my health journey, I was eating an average of 8 to 10 times a day. That's a lot. And every single time you eat, your pancreas has to put insulin out to deal with that. Well, insulin quickly becomes the toddler in the corner that's screaming to the brain, and that screaming starts to get ignored. That's what we call insulin resistance. Insulin is a huge problem for women when it comes to hormone balance. So if you find your cycles are off, you're not feeling your best, start by evaluating, how many times a day am I eating? Make step number 1, getting that to 3 times a day or less. We'll talk about, as episodes go on, other things to think about, but that's always step 1 that I tell patients. Step 2, or along with that, is stop drinking sugar. Because frankly, every time you drink sugar, you need to count that as eating. So if you're going to have a sugary beverage, have it with a meal. But really the goal is to get to the point that you don't drink sugar. We weren't meant to drink sugar. Sugar in its natural state, not liquid other than maybe the honey and the nectar and things like that. But they were not meant to be drank. They were meant to be consumed. So no more drinking sugar. Step 3, start every meal with a protein. The order you eat things makes a huge difference in how much insulin you secrete. And our goal, ladies, is to get that insulin secretion down. We want insulin to stop interfering with our normal natural hormones. In each episode, we're going to delve a little bit more into that. But this first episode, if you are experiencing things that you think are due to your hormones, these are the 3 steps you take. Number 1, don't eat more than 3 times a day. Number 2, stop drinking sugar. And number 3, start every meal with a protein. If you can make those 3 changes, you are going to see huge strides in your health. It took me a long time to get to there, and I will tell you, it has been an emotional couple of weeks. I have some things going on with my family. Today in the office was a 5-crier day. That means 5 women. I walk in the room and they're crying within 30 seconds for a variety of reasons. Everything from miscarriage to cancer diagnosis to they're just frustrated with life. That's a lot to come off of. It is really tempting to come home and just open the chocolate, I'll be honest, or the wine bottle, or whatever your poison is. Instead, I'm sitting here talking to you. What I really wanted to do was not do that. I wanted to do something else, but I've been waiting for the perfect time to start this channel, and I've decided it's never gonna come. So here we are. So if that's you, if you get through an emotional day and the first thing you want to do is reach for the chocolate bar or the bottle of wine or whatever, it's time to really evaluate, what is that doing for me? Because it's doing something. By the way, chocolate is amazing. In that moment, I do feel better. I really do. That's why for many years, food has been my addiction. However, I don't like what it does for me long term. So a few years ago, I decided to teach myself guitar. In this day and age, there are amazing teachers on YouTube for free. There's also all kinds of strategies that you can learn from friends or watching videos. I and Aerosmith are very similar in our technique. I'm just kidding. But I learned how to play guitar because I needed something to do with my hands, something to do with my brain that didn't involve destructive outcomes. So if you find you're reaching for things that, yes, in the moment they're doing something for you and they feel really good, but they're leading to an outcome you don't want, you're gonna have to be super intentional about doing something else. So where 7 days a week I was emotionally eating or overeating, I just sat down and said, okay, I'm gonna try not to do that 7 days a week. Like, let's see if we can whittle that down a little bit. Fast forward several years now, and it's maybe once or twice a week that I have to really fight the urge to hit the pantry instead of doing something that's good for my health, like praying or playing guitar or talking to a friend. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. But anyway, back to you and your hormone issues. So step one, we gotta get rid of the excess insulin. And the way we do that is we eat fewer times in the day and we get rid of as much sugar, especially the liquid sugar, as we possibly can. Well, what do you do after that? You start adding an activity. And I don't care if you're training for a marathon or you're just trying to survive a desk job. Look at your day and see, where can I add something in? Can I park farther away? And I know that sounds ridiculous and small and like it's never gonna make a difference, but think about it like this. So you're training for a marathon. You don't start with running 20 miles. Like, you can't. No one can go from 0 to 20 miles. You start with getting off the couch and doing like a couch to 5K, right? Or you walk a minute or two and then you run a minute or two and then you walk. Anyway, that's how you eventually, at the end of your 3, 4, 5, 6 month training program, end up at the point that you can make it that 26.2 miles. It's the same way with your health. You can't look at small changes as, that doesn't matter, that's ridiculous, that's too little. You have to look at it as, this is my first mile of my 26.2. How do I want to start this journey? There have been a lot of changes that I tried on to see if they would work for me and immediately discarded. One of them was, I decided if I couldn't have my sugary, wonderful coffee, I just wouldn't have it at all. That didn't work for me. First of all, I love coffee. I love the taste of coffee. And second of all, I really like the caffeine hit. I do. It makes me feel better, helps my appetite. So instead of completely discarding it when that didn't work, I went to, okay, instead of having 2 teaspoons of sugar in every cup of coffee, I'm gonna go with 1.5. And I just slowly whittled that down to the point that I wasn't using sugar at all anymore. And I quit using the sugary creamers and switched to heavy whipping cream, which has no carbohydrates in it and doesn't spike my insulin. Now, most days I have black coffee. Now I am postmenopausal, so in the summer it's iced, but it's still black coffee for the most part, but it wasn't an overnight change for me. Some of y'all are amazing and you can go from 0 to 60. You can go from like, I'm drinking a 4-pump latte to I have black coffee overnight. And if that's you, that's amazing. Tell me how you did that. But for most of us, we need incremental change to change these habits that have set us on the course of our health that we are at today. And remember, your health today is an accumulation of all the decisions you've made up until now. So if you want your health tomorrow to be different, you have to make different decisions. And they don't all have to happen at once. The other thing I'm going to leave you with at the end of every episode is to tackle just one thing. So for me, I'm going to bring you on my journey with me, okay? Here's where I've been. About 4 or 5 years ago, so pre-COVID or beginning of COVID, it's kind of weird how we talk about stuff like that, right? Like my grandparents would talk about things in relation to like the last war they were in. I guess that's our war. But anyway, around COVID, pre-COVID, I decided I was tired. I was tired of dealing with obesity. I was basically obese from the cradle. I have always been the most overweight person I knew in class. I have always struggled with it. I've probably lost 1,000 pounds over my lifetime and gained it back. I don't know what I was at my heaviest weight, but it was something over 260. And the reason I don't know is because I quit weighing. Anyway, around COVID, I decided it was time for me to really figure this out. Not to do another fad diet, not to just jump on another pay me $50 a week and I'll help you lose weight with shots, but to really evaluate what is the health of this human body and human bodies in general. And why are we seeing in America this explosion of obesity where other countries, frankly, don't deal with that? I knew the calories in, calories out model did not work for me. And I knew that some things did. Like, for example, if I cut snacking, I could always lose a couple of pounds in the first couple of weeks. But I wasn't very good at keeping the snacking out because I didn't add anything else back in. So over the course of the next 3 or 4 years, I started incrementally doing a ton of research, a lot of which I'll share with you over the next however long we do this. I also started experimenting on myself. I am a science experiment. So I experimented with the 3 things that we just talked about. What happens if I don't snack? Well, at first what happened was I really wanted to snack. And that voice in my head that said, you need a snack, you need a snack, you need a snack, was really loud. It was hard to turn it down. But slowly, over time, as I told myself things like, I'm not a toddler, I actually don't need a snack. Or, I'm in the middle of work, I don't even have time to go get a snack right now. Or, just stop talking. I'm done listening to the snacky voice. As I continued to retrain my brain, it got easier and easier. I can get through an office time now without thinking, oh, I need a snack. But that's been several years. I can get through a morning at home doing work and chores and things like that and walk through my kitchen without thinking, oh, I've got to get in that refrigerator. For some of you, that's really foreign, and I get it. It was for me too. But that's where I started. So over the next several years, I continued to make changes. I lost over 40 pounds. I've kept that off. But at the beginning of this year, in January, I decided it's time to take things to the next level. I'd really been stagnant. My weight had just been kind of going up 5, down 5, up 7, down 3. And I found it kind of slowly trending up a pound at a time. And I don't want to go back there. So in January, I committed to, I'm going to lose 2 pounds a month. I already know the principles. I know the things that I need to do. I just need to be more serious about it and not take more days off than I am days on. I also made a goal of doing 25 push-ups a day. Now, I talked to a friend of mine about this last night, and she said, so when you started doing 25 push-ups a day, did you just like go do them? And the answer is no. Remember, like, you don't go 0 to 26.2 miles. You don't go 0 to 25 push-ups either. And to be honest, I had probably never done a total of 25 push-ups in my entire life before then. I love working out, but real push-ups were not my thing. I did me push-ups, and I was committing to doing 25 real push-ups. It's a marker of longevity. And what if I'm old and I need to push myself off the ground? I don't want to break a shoulder just because I've never done one. Anyway, I started with 1 or 2 real push-ups at a time. I'm not kidding you. It took a really long time to get through 25 push-ups doing it like that. I just did them throughout the day and tried to get to 25 by the end of the day. Fast forward to now, and I can do about 20 solid, good form push-ups before I have to take a break and finish the last 5. Unless I've done an arm workout recently, and then I might have to break it up even more. But my point is, I'm now at the point that that goal is not only almost attainable, I can almost do 25 at a time, but the upper body strength that I've seen and the stamina that I've gained from that have been tremendous. So my challenge to you is pick something. Pick one thing that you're going to start working on over this next week and do it every day. And do it with the mindset and mantra, if you will, of I'm doing this for my health. I'm doing this for myself. I want to get better. I want my life to be different. So maybe it's the snacking thing that you're going to tackle. That's what I'm going to tackle again. Because frankly, we go back to our same vomit, right? Like you go along, you're doing pretty well, and then somebody goes in the hospital, or you have a 5-card day at the office, and you just think popcorn would make it better. And popcorn probably would make it better. But what would make it better for me long term is to pass that up and to do the things that I know I need to do to make myself feel better in the moment and also reach my health goals. So as I leave you this first episode, if you're interested at all in coming along this journey with me, I'm here to encourage you. Like I said, I'm going to start every episode with a sexual health hint. Then we're going to go into some sort of health thing for women. But I want to end every episode with that challenge. So your challenge this week is pick something. So what I have to say to you now is love out loud and live on purpose.